for talking. Good to talk to you finally. I did get to see the pilot and enjoyed it, but you weren't in it a whole lot. So why don't you start by sort of telling me a bit about your character?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, yeah, that's the character, DCA Theo Forrester. He's a deputy crown attorney, and with regards to him, he just sort of pops in, gives his insight, and he is a bit of a legal sounding board for Graff and Bateman, just making sure that they, the cases that they're working on and the cases that they want to prosecute that are solid enough to prosecute and don't have any holes. And that's sort of his job within this in this world. And so I think it's an interesting character because I do enjoy how he sort of just, he's there and then he's not, and then he could be there again and then not, and I find it fun, and in a way a bit unpredictable, and so yeah, so that's Theo Forster, and he's with regards to his position, he's an ambitious guy, and he wants things to stick, and not only for his ambition, but also just for the victims as well, right? He wants it for justice. Yeah.
Were you familiar with the original show very much? Or, well, any of the original shows, I guess. There's quite a few, isn't there? Were
Yeah.
you familiar with them at all before taking this role?
Yeah, I was familiar, but I wasn't really deep into it. Like, I know some people that are extremely, extremely deep into it, and they can tell you everything about every episode, believe it or not. And so, but I obviously it's Law and Order. You were not able to get away from it. You know it. You know of the show, and so yes, I was familiar with it enough to know that it's a big deal.
Yeah. So what was your preparation like for this role? Like, did you research this type of job or did you just watch a lot of it? What did you do?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it was more about what is the tone of the show, making sure that you can match the tone of the show, the format of the show, and then from there, with regards to the specificities of the character, it's okay. The legalese have to be right, and so let's learn about what this position does. And we had a couple great consultants on the show for that. And so if any questions that I had, they were so open to helping me. And also, with regards to, sort of rounding out the character, it then becomes, whatever you want it to be, right? It's the imagination. It's whatever real experiences you might want to bring to it. And so, that's really how I rounded out the character.
Right. What was it that you most connected with the character when you first started? Like, what part of him, I guess, do you see in you, or you see of you in him? There we go.
Yeah, you know what? I think it was sort of the ease of how he does his job. Um, and the seriousness of how he does his job. And as much as he can sort of color outside the lines, or he having that ability to color outside the lines, or having that ability to um you know not take on something, he's always up for the challenge. And also wanting to make sure that something is done right, and taking the time to say, hey, let's think about this again from a different angle and let's get it right, as opposed to just maybe saying, you know what, it's not working, push it to the side, moving on.
Was there a part of him that you had trouble reaching and connecting with?
um no, not so far. And the beautiful thing about characters is that they're ever growing, right? So we don't just I mean, for me personally, and I believe for a lot of the shows that I've watched and enjoyed, the characters are always evolving. They're never just, sort of cultivated in the first season and that's it. It's a hard mark. um that's not how human beings are. So we're always changing, learning, and growing, and maybe you know, regressing as well. So the character is still open for interpretation. Let's just say, which I love.
Was there anything not character wise then though that you did find difficult, or was this a pretty easy role for you so far?
Yeah, I had a hard time fitting in my chair one time. Um, in my office, and getting my legs under the desk. Um, but other than that, you know what? At first, it was really we do some walk and talks, and those things are, even though they might look like it when someone is watching it, they're not just like a free for all. It's not like just walk and talk, and no matter how long it takes you, it's okay. No, it has to happen within a certain, amount of steps or a certain time frame. Before you hit this pillar, and that goes for everyone. That just doesn't go for Casey Collins and his character. That goes for everyone. So there has to be a sort of we all have to be in sync. And then with regards to that, you know, the people, our crew, our lovely crew that are dealing with camera and sound, they have to be in sync with us as well for that movement. And so, trying to give this show some movement, sometimes you bump into some challenges. And
Sense.
in my
Now,
character, there's a lot of walking and a lot of talking.
a lot of walking and talking. Now, I was going to say, obviously, I haven't seen any courtroom cases or anything yet because I did only see the first one. But do you have a lot of, I guess, legalese or anything like that that you had to, get onto that was hard to do or anything like that?
Yeah,
I'm not sure if you do, so it's kind of hard to ask that without having seen that part. But
right. Yeah, not so far. I mean, it's been I'm sure there was, and I can't remember exactly, but I'm pretty sure there was some words that were like sort of hard to wrap my head around. But luckily enough, I did a medical show which prepared me well, and I did that for many years, and so I had a good time dealing with the legalese. It wasn't a big deal, and because our show is not really centered on the courtroom for
right.
for the DCA crown, because it is criminal intent. Um, I don't know how much more I'll be challenged in that department. Yeah,
Have to wait and find out, I guess.
that's right.
So, what do you, just in general, what do you look for in a role?
A challenge. I look for something that I haven't done, or if I have done it, how can I not do it differently, but how can I bring more life to it, or bring a different sense of life to it than something I've already done. Um, look, I'll be honest, sometimes as actors you want to be lazy. Sometimes you want to do something that's comfortable. But then once you actually get into it and you're doing it, you realize you don't want to just be comfortable. You want to be, because you got to do this sometimes every day, sometimes for years. And you want to be able to challenge yourself, and you want to be able to come to work, and nerves are good. Nerves tell you that you're doing something that is challenging. And so that's what I look for. I look for a little bit of a challenge. I look for being able to bring something to the character that I would want to watch.
Well, you talk about challenge. Is there anything that I guess being on this show taught you, either acting standpoint or just about yourself, that maybe you learned you didn't realize, or something that changed after having filmed the season?
That's a very good question. Um, I would just probably go with what I do like about playing a lawyer is that, and it's not necessarily something that it's taught me, but I know what it's going to potentially teach others is, you know, I've said this in the past that, when someone, when my agent and I were discussing, um, we have these little boxes that we like to tick, and a lawyer was one of them. And so we had this discussion of, lawyers that we've liked in the past, from past shows, and sort of realizing that they all sort of felt very similar. And then it was like, well, what if Robert De Niro played a lawyer? And then we could hear Robert De Niro's voice in our head. And that's not really, sort of a stereotypical lawyer. And so that's kind of interesting. I would watch that. It's almost like when Joe Pesci did it as my cousin Vinny. That was very interesting. And so it made me think of, when I do get that opportunity, I don't want to fit that stereotype of a lawyer. I want to be able to bring something so that someone else who might want to pursue that career, but might not be, the stereotypical lawyer that they see on TV. Because, let's be real, TV sort of influences our reality. And so
Yeah.
I just wanted, people to realize that, hey, you can maybe speak this way, walk this way, look this way, and you can still be a lawyer. So, and funny enough, when I did do a bit of research, there was a Crown attorney that looked like me, and I was like, hey, there it is, And so it's just, that's something that I learned as I was going through it, and I started to really embody it, and I hope someone can learn from.
Well, I think we're about out of time. Let me just ask you quickly, is there a scene that you have that's like a favorite that you could talk about that won't spoil too much, just sort of something to tease?
Um, yeah, I feel like it might be in our finale. There's a scene in the finale. So
I
knowing
was
that
gonna
I
say, you
can't see
probably can't tell me about it then.
Yeah, exactly. So unfortunately, but there's a scene in our finale that I really like, and I'll let you guess which one, because there's a few scenes in the finale, but I'll let you guess which one when you see it.
Okay, I'll have to
Okay.
wait till I see it. Is there a role, a type of role, some kind of role that you really want to do, somebody you really want to work with? Who would that be, or what would that be?
Ooh, good question. Yeah, you know what? I think I'm ready for some action. Um, I mean, let's be real. It'd be cool to play a superhero. Um, that would be interesting. And someone that I would really like to work with. That's a tough one. There's just too many to name, and I don't want to put one above the other. Um, so but if I was, if you had like a thumb on a nerve somewhere, and you know, I was about to fall to my knees, I would probably just have to go with. It would be a director, though. I would like to work with Martin Scorsese.
That'd be good.
Yeah.
All right, great. Well, thank you for your time. I appreciate it. Look forward to seeing more.
Yeah.
Once
Yeah.
it's
Thank you.
so thanks. Have a
All
good
right.
rest of your day.
Appreciate it. You as well.